Good afternoon, everyone. Today we will see the topical route of drug administration. In previous practicals, you have already seen the other routes of drug administration like oral and parenteral route of administration, and in the other batches also the topical route of drug administration is already been taken. So today the one batch which was left will have the topical route of drug administration. So topical route, as per the name suggests, that it will have its action at the site which is at which it is applied. Only the local action at the desired site will be seen, and it can be used for either dermal use or for mucosal use. In dermal use, we have different types of lotions which contain the suspension, solutions and emulsions, which you have already seen in the oral route of administration, that is what are suspensions or what are solutions or what are emulsions. The other applications for dermal use are like liniments, ointments, or different types of creams, jellies, then pastes and dusting powder for the local use. Now the applications or topical applications which we can use for mucosal use are the eye drops or eye ointments, then different types of ear drops, nasal drops, then the nasal sprays which you use as a OTC, then we have gargles and mouth washes, suppositories are there, then pessary aerosols are there with different types of meter dose inhalers and with spacers and rotahalers also. We also have the dry powder inhaler, that is the rotahaler, and all these instruments which we are going to discuss today, or the topical applications, are available in our department. You can come and have a look at them whenever you get your free time. So for skin, hair and nail, we have different ointments, creams, jellies, lotions, liniments, pads, then different medicated dressings are there, then shampoos, like we have different medicated shampoos also, then soaps, paints, bath additives. Then for eyes we have eye drops, ointments, then ophthalmic injections are there, some ophthalmic strips, and a new one is the OcuSert. So these different applications are available for this site. For ear, we have ear drops, ointments. For nasal mucosa, we have sprays, nasal drops, and the ones which act on bronchi, we have the solutions or the powders via inhalers, that is the powders or the liquid solutions which we take through the inhalers available, or the spacers and the nebulizers which help us to inhale or take in the solutions or the powders. Then for vaginal mucosas, we have different suppositories, pastries, then ointments are there, creams, sprays are there, medicated vaginal rings are also there, and for urethral mucosa we have ointments and gels also. Now among these topical preparations, some are the specialized drug delivery system, that is they are specialized for their delivery of the medicated medications at the particular site through a particular way. So in that we have the ocular inserts for the ocular delivery, also we call them as OcuSerts. Now here what happens, the drug is administered how? By implanting a control release polymeric insert, where it is implanted into the conjunctival fornix, which is shown into the diagram below. And we, for such applications we have a example of pilocarpine ocular insert. Other drugs are also available. Now this was one of the specialized drug delivery systems for topical application. The other specialized drug delivery system we have is the ionophoric drug delivery system, where in this system the ionic drugs, that is the drugs which are having some specific charge, either positive or negative charge, they are driven across the biological membranes, that is the biological cell membranes in the body, by the means of electric current. That means the drugs which carry either of the charge are then carried across the membrane with the help of the electric current. And for this we have the example of pilocarpine iontophoresis for the sweat test for cystic fibrosis, or salicylate iontophoresis. Now, one thing you should always keep in mind that different drug delivery systems or the different routes of administration have their own advantages and disadvantages as compared to the other routes. As we have already seen that how oral route is having its advantage, like it can be administered without any assistance, then it can be given without any complicated devices, or to conscious patients it can be given. Also for a parenteral route we have the advantages, like it can be given in unconscious patients. Then it is faster acting also, whereas in oral route it was seen that it has less bioavailability because of the first pass metabolism the drugs undergo when taken by oral route. Similarly, and there are other advantages and disadvantages of each routes. So here also we can see that there are certain advantages for topical route, like there is systemic adverse effects which is seen with other routes is minimized for the topical route. And also the action is local, that is only at the site desired, and it is quick in onset. So these are the some advantages of topical route which were not seen in the other routes which we have already studied in previous practicals. Also there are some drugs or some applications which are even though taken orally, but they have their site of action or the desired action only locally. Like you can have an example of any gastric lavage, that is KMNO4 lavage, which is taken orally but it has its action locally into the gastric mucosa. Okay, so what will be the disadvantage of topical route? That whenever you want a systemic effect of any drug, we need to use either of the oral, parenteral or other route of administration. And in topical route the advantage of minimizing the systemic adverse effects is obtained. So moving towards the individual topical applications which are available, we will see first, that is the lotions. Now each topical preparation which you will come across now further in the lecture, try to keep in mind the differentiating points between these different topical preparations. Now first we are going to see the lotion. So what is lotion? Lotion, it is a liquid preparation. So it is liquid preparation which contains one or more active ingredients, and it is intended but obviously for its topical action either at skin or mucous membrane. So an important point related to lotion is that it is to be applied without friction. This is a very important point to be kept in mind, that it is applied without friction. Now there are different types of lotions, and these are the majority of the lotions are for the application to the unbroken skin. However, some of the lotions can be applied to eye, some can be used as mouthwash or gargles, and can be applied to mucosa also. So these are important points, is that these are liquid preparations with active ingredients and are applied without friction. Examples for that we have the different suspension solutions and emulsions which act as lotion, and in that we have the calamine lotion as a suspension, or povidone iodine solution and clotrimazole solution, and benzyl benzoate lotion as an emulsion which can be used as a lotion for topical preparation. Now coming towards the properties and uses of lotions. So lotions, these are mainly intended to have a soothing and protective effect, and it is frequently prescribed as an antiseptic, anesthetic or antihistaminic, or different indications depending upon the use where we are using the lotion. And unlike semi-solid topical preparations, like other preparations which we are going to see in the lecture or the practical, are like ointments or creams, and lotions are the ones which can be applied to the hairy areas of the body like scalp. So other preparations cannot be applied, but the lotions can be applied to the hairy areas of the body such as scalp. However, whenever we need to apply these on the scalp, just we need to have a relatively large quantity, especially when we are using it for a cleansing purpose. So what will be the instruction when we are dispensing the topical preparation, that is the lotion? It is only used for external use, and this should be always mentioned on the label of the preparation. So next point, now we have seen what are the lotions, that is they are liquid medications applied without friction, and properties like they are giving the soothing and protective effect to the skin. Now what are the requirements for a good lotion? Even though you can say that even though lotions are applied without friction, there are some insoluble matter that are there in the lotion, and it should be finely divided into a uniform one, so that an accurate amount which we want to dispense to the patient can be applied each time. When the finely divided matter is there, then the amount of drug which we want to give to the patient will be accurately applied every time it is being used. And one more important thing is that whenever glycerin is there into the lotion, it keeps the skin moist for a longer time. Now in lotions, these are intended to evaporate quickly from the skin, as when the vehicle used is either alcohol or acetone. Now if the vehicle is alcohol or alcoholic vehicle is there, like in salicylic acid lotion, or then what happens, the addition of alcohol enhances the cooling effect of the lotion. So the different vehicles which are used in the lotion have its properties, like alcoholic vehicle will help to give cooling effect to the lotion. There are certain excipients also that are used in lotions, and what is the role of excipients? That they help to stabilize the preparation. They act as a preservative or accentuate the cooling, soothing or protective properties of the active ingredients that are present into the lotion. So keep in mind that there are different parts of lotion. One is the active ingredient, second is the vehicle which we use. Now we are about the vehicle, we have seen that if the vehicle is alcoholic, it will give a cooling effect. Excipients, now these excipients helps to stabilize the preparation and accentuate the cooling, soothing and protective properties. The lotion must be prepared and dispensed in attractive manner, because as it has a cosmetic aspect of its considerable importance. Now moving towards the next preparation of topical delivery system, we have the liniments. Now what we have seen about lotion, it was that liquid preparation applied without friction, and it has a soothing and protective effect. Now liniments, these are also a liquid preparation, and generally they have a rubefacient or counter irritant property, whereas the lotions were having the soothing and protective effect. These liniments have the rubefacient or counter irritant property, and which are used for the external application. And the important point here is that liniments are applied with friction. So like lotion, liniments are also usually mixtures of dissolved or suspended or emulsified gradients, and we have the example of turpentine liniment, which is a emulsion. So white liniment, a base for many other liniments, contains both dissolved and emulsified components, and liniments are intended for rubbing into the skin, and their oil or soap components that is there into the liniment increases the ease of application and massage also. So the oil or the soap components help to easy application and massage of the liniment, as we have seen that it is to be applied with friction. Then alcoholic liniments also, These are the ones which penetrate the skin more readily as compared to the oily based liniments. Whereas in lotions we have seen that when the vehicle was alcoholic, it was giving a cooling effect. Now when the liniment has oily base, they are milder in their action but are more useful when they are applied with massage, whereas alcoholic ones are better in penetration. See the difference between lotion and liniments. So what are lotions? They are applied to the skin or mucosa, whereas liniments are applied only to the skin. Lotions we apply without friction, whereas liniments are applied with friction. Lotions give the cooling, soothing or protective properties, whereas liniments have their rubefacient or counter irritant and analgesic properties. And one more last important point is that lotions do not contain camphor, whereas liniments contain camphor or other irritants also. What is the mechanism of action of liniments? These are used for their counter irritant properties, that is rubefacient and the counter irritant property is the important point for liniments, which are conferred to them by the volatile oils that are used in them. Now by stimulating the area of the skin, that is when we apply a liniment with friction, it stimulates the area of skin. And how does it help? It reduces the ascending traffic of pain signals from underlying deeper or visceral structures, and that is supplied by the same segment of spinal cord. So it helps in masking the pain of the deeper tissues by providing the counter irritant property. So it temporarily helps to mask the pain from the deeper structures. Thus liniments are used in various musculoskeletal aches and pains and in conditions like sciatica or arthritis. Liniments can contain ingredients which help them to give the analgesic, astringent or emollient property. These are also the ones which are dispensed with the label, that is for external use only. The next topical preparation is the ointment. So we have already seen what are lotions, what are liniments, and what are the differentiating points between the lotion and liniments. Now moving towards the next topical preparation, that is the ointment. These ointments are the semi-solid greasy preparations, and these are for the application to skin and mucous membrane, and they are used for their protective and emollient effects. Now while preparing the ointment, we can use different types of bases which are usually anhydrous and contain one or more of the medicaments, and the consistency and composition of the ointment should be such that it can be easily applied to the skin, and after application the ointment should not melt. When the ointment is applied to the body, it should not melt, and the vehicle which we use for preparation of ointment is also known as the ointment base. So the choice of base which we use for preparing a ointment depends upon the indication, that is for what purpose we are using the ointment, and there are different types of such ointment bases. So first one which we can see is the hydrocarbon base, which has a poor penetrability. So different types of base has different types of properties, and try to keep in mind what are the differences between the different bases. So hydrocarbon base has a very poor penetrability, and because of less penetrability it will have only superficial action, but they are more stable as compared to other bases, and do not turn rancid. So when used, they give the superficial protective action. Examples is like hard or soft paraffin. Next base is the absorption base, and the other one is the water soluble base. So what is absorption base? Unlike the hydrocarbon base which we have seen that it has a less penetrability, this absorption base is a hydrophilic and can absorb considerable amount of water. They are less occlusive and have better penetrability as compared to the hydrocarbon base, and are easier for spread, but these are made from animal bases, so they have the tendency to turn rancid. The other base is the water soluble base. So the name suggests that these are water soluble and hence can be removed from the skin easily. They have excellent penetrability as compared to the other two bases, as they are water soluble, but obviously they will be non-greasy and easy to spread. So what are the properties of good ointment? Now, if a ointment is well made, it is homogeneous and it should be free of gritty particles, smooth, and it should be greasy to feel so that it can be easily applied. It should be stable over a period of time, and it should have a ability that it should remain free from microbial contamination, because the multiple number of times when we apply the ointment, there are chances for the contamination with microbes, and this property should be there with ointment, that it should be free from microbial contamination. Again, it is dispensed with the same label, that is for external use only. So what are the disadvantages of ointments? Now, it is difficult to deliver the precise dose of the ointment with each application, and contamination can occur. This already we have seen. Now we have the different types of ointments like eye ointment, and it must be prepared under the aseptic precaution. What will be the dispensing label? It is dispensed in collapsible tubes with long nozzles, and if not supplied with that, it should be given with special suitable glass rods or spatula. Then what instructions you will give when you are giving the ointment? That while applying, the tip of the tube should not touch the eye. If the ointment is being used in the eye, try to keep the tip of the tube away from the eye. Then once applied, when once opened the ointment tube, one should use it within 1 month of the period, and same ointment should not be used by many persons, as there are chances of cross infection, that is infection can get transferred from one person to other person. The next preparation, till now we have seen lotion, liniments and ointments. The next topical preparation is the paste. Now how does it differ from the other preparations? Is that it is a preparation which contains large amount of finely powdered solids, and hence is very stiff as compared to other preparation. First two, that is lotion, liniments, were near about liquid preparations, whereas the ointment was a semi-solid preparation. The paste as compared to ointment is very stiff. Like ointments are emollient but are less greasy in nature. Now when these pastes are applied to the skin, because of its stiff nature, they adhere well to the skin where it is applied, and form a thick coat that protects and soothes the inflamed skin. And as they are often used for treating the oozing and moist lesions like burns or open wounds, they absorb the serous fluids which are coming out of the lesions. So this is also one important helping point of the paste, and their efficacy also depends on maintaining a thick surface layer, and because of its very stiff and large number of finely powdered solids that are there into the paste. So this will help to give a good efficacy, and because of their appearance, they are not cosmetically attractive. The next preparation is the cream. So what are creams? They are the semi-solid emulsions containing medical agents, and these are also intended for the external use only. Now creams are again also of two kinds, where there can be aqueous creams and oily creams. So in which the emulsions are oil in water or water in oil respectively. So creams are less messy as compared to the other preparations for use, and the aqueous creams are relatively, because of its aqueous nature, they are less greasy and easy to remove also. The next is the jellies. What are jellies? Jellies are the translucent, that is they are quite transparent type of preparations, non-greasy ones, semi-solid preparations, and these are also used externally. Gelling agent which is used for preparation of jellies can be either gelatin or carbohydrate such as starch. Now these jellies contain a considerable amount of water, that is more amount of water is present into the jellies, and these are particularly suitable as vehicles for water soluble medicaments. That is, these jellies can serve as a vehicle to deliver the medicines which are water soluble, like local anesthetics or spermicides or antiseptics. And now these are used for medications or lubrications and other miscellaneous uses, like you may have seen for ultrasonography or electrocardiography, where the jellies are used for the miscellaneous use. The other topical preparation is the dusting powder. Now, what is dusting powder? You may already have come across these different types of dusting powders in some or the other time of your lifetime. So these are free flowing fine powders which have the particle size less than 150 micrometers, but obviously used for external use only. These are used to treat the superficial skin infections and supplied in airtight glass or plastic jars, and which are reclosable with, which are provided with perforated lid or sprinkler holes on the top of the bottles. So dusting powders are the ones which are sprinkled over the area where we want to have the action of the drug. Now we have the example of neomycin or bacitracin powder or clotrimazole, or that is the Candid B dusting powder. So now the different preparations, each one is having its advantage and disadvantage. Now what are the advantage of dusting powder? See, it is obviously a topical preparation, so systemic adverse effects are being avoided, and it is suitable for the lesions which are having the oozing lesions, that is suitable for weeping lesions. And what will be the disadvantage? Because it is a powder, the adherence to the applied area will be less. So because of its less adherence to the application site, it will be required to be applied number of times, that is repeated application will be required. And what instructions we will give? That clean the affected part first and then sprinkle the powder over the affected area. What are sprays? The next preparation is the sprays. So these are the preparations of drugs in aqueous, alcoholic or glycerin containing media. Different types of analgesic sprays are also available, and these are easy to use and can cover a larger surface area, because these are the sprays, so we can spread it over large area. But as these sprays are provided into the airtight or the pressurized containers, there is a fear of explosion in the hot environment because the contents are under pressure. So instructions will be that spray locally only on the affected area, avoid the excessive use over the other areas. Now the next topical delivery system is the transdermal patch. So what is transdermal patch? These are the recently developed devices in the form of adhesive patches, that is they are the ones which we stick, adhesive ones, and they are of various shapes and size. Now these transdermal patches are designed for their use for at least 1 to 7 days in the area which we applied, that is it will help for the increasing the compliance of the patient, and a constant drug will be constant drug delivery at a constant rate will be there. So these are the advantages. And what examples we have, that is we have a nitroglycerin or estradiol or scopolamine transdermal patches. So we will see the advantages, that is it will deliver the contained drug at a constant rate into systemic circulation via the stratum corneum, and they are more convenient, so offer a better compliance because less number of times we have to apply it, because once we apply it, it will last there for at least minimum of 1 to 7 days. So compliance will be but obviously better as compared to other preparations. What will be the disadvantage? As it remains to the applied area for more longer duration, it will give a local irritation and erythema in some cases. And what instructions we should give? That do not apply over the damaged skin or over the skin folds, because it will have a tendency to come out, or it will also damage the skin more if it is applied over the damaged skin, because it is a sticky application. We have to stick it. So apply with clean hands and change the site of the application regularly to avoid the irritation and erythema in some patients. Now moving towards the exercise which is there in your journal, there is a chart where you are given a surface or the disease, and where you have to write the preparation, effect and the example of the preparation. So for dry and scaly skin, like that in dry eczema or psoriasis, we can use ointment, and the effect which we will see is the occlusive emollient. We have the soft white or yellow paraffin. Now for moist or dry skin, we have cream, and it will give a cooling emollient and moisturizing effect. We can use oily or aqueous based creams. The next is wet and oozing lesion, that is weeping eczema or bullous disease. We can use lotion, and drying soothing effect and cooling effect will be given, and we have a preparation, that is the calamine lotion. Now for lichenified and oozing eczema, we can use paste, that is paste will help to absorb the oozing fluid, and it will have a protective effect, prevent the spreading of active ingredients. Drying effect on wet areas will also be seen. We have zinc compound paste or tar paste. The other is the flexure. If sore or any lesion is there, then we can use dusting powder, that is the sore is the, you may have seen the bed sores or different types of pressure sores. So in such areas we can use dusting powders, which lessens the friction of the area of the skin with the surface, and it also helps for drying the oozing secretions. In that we have the example of talc, used as a vehicle for antifungal agents. Next dosage form is the eye drop. So eye drop, we have homatropin or hydrobromide eye drop, and what remark will give is store in cool dry place for external use only, and use within 1 month after opening the container. For eye ointment, we have atropine eye ointment. Again it is for ophthalmic use, and try to keep the ointment tube well capped in a cool and dark place. So ear drops, we have gentamicin sulfate 0.3% eye drops, keep in cool dry place and for external use only. For pessaries, we have clotrimazole vaginal tablets 200 milligrams per tablet, and try to protect it from moisture and crushing. The other dosage form is the inhaler with spacer. We have sodium chromoglycan inhaler. It is a pressurized canister, and try to keep away from sunlight and heat. Do not puncture or burn when the container is empty. So you try to take it down into your journals. The other is the skin ointment. So we have a preparation, that is the mupirocin ointment. It is also for external use only, and keep out of reach of children. Now the next preparation is cream. So we have beclomethasone cream with neomycin sulfate cream, and also for cream we advise to store in cool place for external use only, and we tell them to use under medical supervision, because the beclomethasone content is a steroid one. So whenever we prescribe a steroid, we need to use it under the medical supervision. The next preparation is the gel. So we have most commonly OTC drug which we use is the Volini gel, which contains diclofenac diethylamine gel, and it is to be stored at low temperature. Avoid unnecessary use of such gels, and it is for external use only. The next is the lotion. So we have a lactocalamine lotion, and for lotion we need to give the advice to shake well before use, so that the ingredients which are there, suspended ingredients, get well mixed into the vehicle. The next one is the dusting powder. So what is dusting powder? We have a neomycin sulfate dusting powder, and it is for the external use only. So in your journal, the other exercises are to write down the steps for using the different topical preparations. So first one we will see is the inhalation of a drug using a inhaler. So write down these steps in your journal. So first one is the cough up as much of sputum is there into your respiratory tract as possible, and then spit it out. Then shake the aerosol before use. Hold the aerosol as indicated in the manufacturer's instructions, and then place the lips tightly around the mouthpiece of the inhaler. Now after placing the lips tightly around the mouthpiece, tilt your head slightly backward so that you can inhale it properly. Now after tilting your head, breathe out slowly, empty the lungs as much of air is possible, and then breathe in deeply and activate the aerosol, keeping the tongue down. Then hold the breath for 10 to 15 seconds after inhaling the medication, so that it will have its effect on the desired side, that is in the respiratory tree, and then breathe out through the nose. If you feel that there is some amount of powdered form left into the mouth or into the surrounding area, you can rinse the mouth with warm water. So this is how we use the inhalational drugs by help of inhaler. See the steps. Firstly, the inhaler is that is the meter dose inhaler is held into the mouth at the mouthpiece. Tilt your head a bit slightly backward, and then press the canister and inhale the drug. Hold the breath for few seconds and then breathe out through the nose. Next is inhaler with capsule. So in here also the steps are near about same. So cough up as much of sputum as possible, then press the capsules in the inhaler according to the instructions given on the manufacturer's manual. Then breathe out slowly, empty the lungs, place the lips tightly around the mouthpiece. So all these steps you need to write down in your journal. So after placing the mouthpiece into your mouth, tilt the head slightly backward as you have done for inhaler, that is the meter dose inhaler. Then take a deep breath through the inhaler. Hold the breath for 10 to 15 seconds, breathe out through the nose, and then rinse the mouth with warm water to remove if any powdered form of medication is left into the mouth. See, these are the steps where you can see how to use a rotahellar. First step, you can see the insert the transparent end of rota cap, that is the capsule, into the space given in the rotahellar. Then secondly, hold the top of the rotahellar firmly with the hand, and then rotate the rotahellar, the base, until the capsule is broken. Then thirdly, breathe out through your mouth and then place the inhaler into your mouth. Breathe in through your mouth as deeply as possible so that you can inhale the medication, and then remove the rotahellar from your mouth. Hold your breath for at least minimum of 10 seconds and then breathe out. This is just for your information that when we use spacer along with the meter dose inhaler. Now the blue container you are seeing is a spacer. Shake the inhaler well before use. Remove the cap from your inhaler and from your spacer. Put the inhaler into the spacer, that is the blue container which you are seeing. Then bring the spacer close to your mouth. Put the mouthpiece between your teeth and close your lips around it. press the top of your inhaler, that is the brown color contain canister is there for an inhaler. Now press it, breathe very slowly until you have taken a full breath. If you hear a whistle sound, you are breathing in too fast, and then hold your breath about for 10 seconds and then breathe out. Whenever you are using a spacer, it is helpful for the elderly patients or the children, those who cannot coordinate their breath with the pressing of the canister in the mid-dose inhaler. So it is helpful in such cases. The next application is the eye drops. Now how to use the eye drops? What are the steps? That is, firstly wash your hands, then do not touch the dropper opening, look upward, then pull the lower eyelid down to make a gutter to put the medication. Now bring the dropper as close to the gutter as possible, but do not touch it to the eye. Then apply the amount as told by the doctor or prescriber into the gutter. Close the eyes for about 2 minutes. Do not shut the eye too tightly. If excess fluid is there, remove it with the tissue. If more than one kind of eye drop is used, wait at least for 5 minutes before applying the next drop. That is, if second drop you have to apply other medication, then between two drops there should be a gap of at least 5 minutes. And eye drops may cause burning feeling, but this should not last for more than few minutes. If it does, then no longer you should consult a doctor or a physician who has prescribed you the medication. See here, the lower eyelid is pulled down to make a gutter to put the eye drop, and try not to touch the tip of the nozzle to the eye. So when you are putting eye drop into children, see that let the child lie back on the head straight. The child's eye should be closed, and dip the amount of drop prescribed by into the corner of the eye. Keep the head straight and remove the excess fluid. The next exercise is for the steps of application of nasal drop. Now how to use nasal drops? Blow the nose properly. Sit down and tilt the head backward strongly, or lie down into a pillow under your shoulders so that your head lies down than the level of the shoulder. Keep the head straight. Now insert the dropper 1 centimeter into the nostril. Apply the amount of drops prescribed. Immediately after application of the drops, tilt your head forward strongly in between your knees. Then sit up after for a few seconds. Then the drops will drip into the pharynx, and repeat the procedure for the other nostril. Rinse the dropper with boiled water. See here, tilt your head back, put the nostril, put the nozzle into the nostril and apply the drops, and immediately tilt your head forward in between your knees for few seconds. Vaginal tablet without applicator. Now how to use it? Wash your hands, remove the wrap from the tablet, dip the tablet in lukewarm water just to moisten it, and then lie on your back, draw your knees up and spread them apart. So after taking this position, gently insert the tablet into vagina as high as possible, but do not force to put it much higher, because it may cause you pain or any injury. And then after inserting the tablet, wash your hands. So next step is for application of lotion and liniment. So both the steps for both application of lotion and liniment are near about same. Only the last step will be different for lotion and liniment. That for lotion we apply the medication without friction, and for liniment we apply it with friction. So write down the steps for lotion and liniment. That is, wash, rinse and dry the affected area with water or clean cloth. Then after it, if the skin is very dry and flaking, apply topical medication while skin is still damp. Then change the gloves if you are using it, performing hand hygiene in between. Then place the required amount of medication, that is the amount of medication that is lotion or liniment which you want to use, in the palm of hand, and then soften it by rubbing the palms together. For the exercise that is for lotion, you write the last sentence, that is apply the lotion without friction, and in the liniment exercise you write that apply the liniment with friction. Now the next preparation for topical drug delivery system is the suppository. Now for suppository, how do you apply it? Wash your hands, remove the covering. If the suppository is too soft, let it harden. Firstly, how? By cooling it under the cold running water, and then remove the covering. After that, remove possible sharp rims if any are there for the suppository by warming in the hand, and then moisten the suppository with cold water. Now, how to take the position? Lie on your side, pull up your knees, and then after taking the position, gently insert the suppository, the rounded end first, into the back passage. Now remain in a lying down position for at least few minutes, and then wash your hands, but try not to have a bowel movement during the first hour of the suppository. See this position, lying down on your back, take your one leg up, and then insert the suppository into the back passage. In this diagram it is clearly seen that firstly remove the covering of the suppository, then try to warm it. Take the position by lifting up your one leg by lying down on your side, then take apart your both the gluteus maximus, and then insert the suppository into the back passage, and try to remain lying down for some time and avoid the bowel movement at least for an hour after the application of suppository. So these all were the exercises which you need to write down in your journal and under the headings given, and which I have already told, and try to complete it. So these were all about the topical route of administration. Thank you.